What's going on? It's facts you don't know. If it's your first time here and you want to find out new facts that will definitely make you smarter and more well informed, make sure to subscribe and activate the notifications bell so you don't miss anything.
A beautiful story that will teach us that beyond giving comfort to our children, we must help them understand the origin of the blessings. Teach them what work is, sacrifice, always value what one achieves so much in life, because it could happen to you like this lady, who sacrificed herself from her children and gave her everything, so that in the end it does not cost them sacrifice. They came to claim her love not, if not the inheritance. Look at it from the beginning to end, because it will make you reflect and captivate you from beginning to end. In Kansas, there's a woman who had 3 children since they arrived. She never neglected them. She gave them love, care, food. She dressed them. She sacrificed for them every time she could. She sold jewelry in the center of the city. That shop had cost her a lot, sacrifice, because she pays it thanks to compensation that the government's given for the service of her husband to the state. And if she'd been widowed, this happened. When the last of her children was 5 years old, she never gave up, and despite what she had to live, almost she did not sleep, because she herself, with the help of a carpenter in the city, managed to finish the jewelry store. And Fine Rhinestones was her first store. Several times when she just started, she had to stop eating to return to invest and buy new merchandise. She knew that it wouldn't be like that for a long time, with much sacrifice. She began to receive the fruits of her effort, with her jewelry giving her a little more money every day. She decided to send her children to the best schools in the city. No one knew or explained how a woman with 3 children and a widow had achieved it, that she would only use compensation to support her young children, but she didn't have a better plan. And although it meant that she had to walk in the same dresses for months, she never sat down to cry and lament over what had happened to her. On the contrary, she decided to give herself the life she deserved, and her children, her husband, had died, and she promised that it would be worth it. In her time was the most beautiful and desired woman, but decided not to have another man, rather preferred to be a mother. Before every morning when she left her children at school, she got in her car and headed to her business, always raising a thought in a conversation with her late husband. Who would know? No one thought, but she did not miss them. Since almost everyone had been given work, she lost herself in the world of jewels and fine rhinestones, and managed to open branches in various parts of the city and in other countries. But time does not pass in vain. Her children finished their professions, and everyone gave her capital to undertake their own destinies, because they began to move away from her. When each one found a woman, respectively, that she could do that one day, it had to happen, so she saw how her 3 children. Now she could hardly move as fast as before, but her dog Marquez was walking at her own pace. One day the children came to what she received with much love, because she had not known about them for a long time. She thought of seeing her grandchildren too, but unpleasant it was the surprise for her to know that they had only come to claim her inheritance. "We want to talk about her inheritance," said the eldest of her children. But children do not believe that it's too early to talk about it. Again, Fusion became very tense, because she refused to talk about it, could not believe it were her children, for whom once she had sacrificed so much, but that she was not there. They were accompanied by a lawyer who had a will ready to sign. The poor woman began to cry, looking at them, because they do this to me. But they said mercilessly, exclaimed that she was no longer right in the head, and that it was better to go into a nursing home, because they said that none of them could take care of her. Then, after a few hours in her room, she looked bitterly at the photos of her little ones who had come to claim her inheritance. That she would have done wrong, she wondered. Perhaps, did I do wrong to give them everything they needed, and they wanted something? She'd simply given them anybody who could have expected such a cruel proceeding, but never from them, their own children. And although in part it was true that she was ready in years, and could not manage her business well, and not take care of it either, that they had come to claim their inheritance was not acceptable. She thought she went out to see them, and told them, "I need to think, because take your time," they answered. So the night came. They occupied their old rooms, and used how much food they could eat. There was the 79-year-old woman, thinking what to do, how she could solve this problem. Her children drank that day, and were given by the trip and the small celebration that they'd done, knowing that each one would soon receive their share of their old mother's fortune. But the years in business experience do not go through someone's mind through the pure who more than she knew. She woke up early and passed through them who slept exhausted and probably dreaming of the millions and businesses that would have to enjoy the way the woman, and with much pain in her heart, gave the instructions to her employees that they would call them the next day, but let them leave the house as soon as they wake up. Thus the woman arrived at her company and together with her best 7 lawyers devised a plan, sold everything she had, and put one of her trusted lawyers as a business manager with a single clause. Her children could access her part as long as they could prove that they'd taken care of their mother in their old age. If not, their wealth would be donated to the Center for Orphan Children in the city. Leaving these instructions, went to her garage. She took her only friend, the dog Marquez, uncovered her old man for whom she'd been her first car, then looked at her furry friend and told him, "Neither of you will go to a kennel, nor will I to an asylum." And saying this, she turned on the car. She'd made the accelerator and left aimlessly from her, never knew of her children because they cried knowing that the wealth of her mother would go to an orphanage. Companies would continue to bill and only have 10% of the liquidity. The rest of the money would continue reinvesting. As the saying reads, crows and they will take your eyes. What did you think of this story? Thanks for watching. Please like and share the video in social networks. We'll be right back to you as fast as